Edcamp Home, Flipping 2.0, The Art of Questioning, and today is the 4th of January. We're still waiting on a couple more people to join us. I'm Craig Yen, and I am from San Francisco Bay Area at Craig Yen on the Twitters, and it looks like Jason has just come in as well. Jason, you're there?
I am here.
Oh, excellent. Liza, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Liza. I'm a high school science teacher in Highland, Illinois, which is near St. Louis.
Awesome. And Jason?
Hi, I am Jason Bretzman. I teach AP Government in Muskego, Wisconsin.
Are you guys flipping right now?
Yes.
And
Yes,
then,
I have 3 different sections. My honors chem is flipping for the 2nd year. My AP, I'm trying to a little bit this year. And then I have an integrated science class, which is freshman, that I haven't flipped yet.
Oh, that's awesome. Hi, Justin. How you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Are you flipping your classroom?
My classroom's been flipped for the past 2 years, so yeah. And I teach social studies. I'm from the La Crosse, Wisconsin area. And I've met Jason before, so WCSS stuff, so
Right on.
familiar with some
So this is
discussions.
a little bit different in discussing flipping a little bit. Glad everybody could join us. I have been flipping in elementary school, and so in particular within math. Where is it? So when we're talking about art of questioning, what is it that you wanted from this session, or what were you thinking?
Well, in my classes, we spend a lot of time in the classroom with me talking with students and asking them questions and trying to pull more out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just looking for some additional ideas on what everybody else is doing and how they're doing that. Any processes they go through, or any, I don't know, systems they use, or something like that.
Is it more just getting the students accountable for actually watching the content or interacting with the content?
No, it's really to take their, for me anyway, it's to take what they've sort of learned in a cursory way outside of the classroom and have an opportunity to talk with them about it and find out what they know, and for those who know something to sort of pull more out of them. So it's really, I don't know, I guess it's not the kind of gotcha if you didn't do this stuff outside of class. It's more, let's have a conversation, let's see how far we go and how deep we can go with it.
So it's that discussion within the class.
I'm sorry?
So it's the discussion within the class.
Right.
That you're thinking.
Yeah, in my classes, my students on a daily basis are in collaborative groups where they're talking with each other, and then I'm moving around and seeing where they're at and what else they need and where I can get them to go. So they're questioning each other, they're talking to each other, but then I feel like it's my job to take it to the next step.
So then, Jason, do you give them prompts when they come in after do you have them watch content at home and then come in prepared to discuss in class?
Yeah, sometimes it's videos, almost always it's reading. It's an AP class, so I don't have a problem doing both, but my focus this year has been less on the videos. And sometimes it's a prompt, and sometimes, more often than not, it's wherever you picked up, or wherever you left off from yesterday is where you pick up today. And they start with what I call an IQ, an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
So something that they came up with that they don't know the answer to, that's where they start the conversation each day in class, and then they try to find the answers to it, connect it to things. But their main focus is construct meaning around the learning objective, and then connect that learning objective to other chapters, which is always their most difficult process, and then connect it to current events, so that there is this, government politics doesn't happen in chapters. It happens,
Wow,
together.
really? It sounds very similar to like a WSQ model where it is that they have to go ahead and watch and summarize and then question. I like that point that you just made of like an interesting question. I see a book in back of you with the Flipping 2.0.
Yeah, it's product placement, right?
Yes, it is. And are you the author of that there?
I'm a co-author. I wrote one of the 2 chapters on social studies. The other one on social studies was written by Carl Lindgren Stryker, who's also just and incidentally originally from Wisconsin. But there's 18 great authors, all the subject areas, and also mastery, and 2 chapters on technology, one just on Google, and then one of my favorites is flipping your professional development. So it's more of an Edcamp model of professional development. But
that's something that I would definitely be interested in.
Yeah, maybe that should be the next session. Thanks for asking about the book. It's really, really good. And my group and I were the publishers of it. But
awesome. That's one of the things that I found with the kids in terms of the discussions within class, and it's all about what you're going to do with that class time when you actually come back to class when you're flipping instruction. I know that when I'm flipping within math and at the level that I'm at right now, 5th grade, I do feel that they still have to have that foundation where they still have to have that practice. But at the same time, I think that I need to offer them a lot more opportunities with project-based learning and just having them be in charge of their learning. And that's something that I'm still thinking of.
Well, one of the things that we're required to do in our district is to have learning objectives on the board so that the students know what they're supposed to be learning. And one of my learning objectives every day is I can take responsibility for my own learning. So, sort of what you were saying, Craig, is that the student not only being responsible for what they're learning, but also what they don't know, and asking more questions to get what they need.
A learning log.
You have a learning log?
Or something that they write in. I know that we actually do use math journals, and then so oftentimes I'll have them journal about what it is that they've learned and what it is that we're discussing, just to go ahead and solidify that knowledge before we have just leads to a more in-depth discussion within class.
It's a good idea, and we can go back to it later too. I've done something like that with Google Forms, where when we have access to the technology, I'll ask them to respond to this question. What was the hardest thing that you were able to figure out today, or what vocabulary came up today, or something like that, or what are you struggling with right now? So I can look at that, so even the introverted students get a chance to say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. And I can take a look at that while they're working on it, and I can, they're always kind of, it boggles my mind, because they fill out the form, and then I walk over there and I go, hey, you're having trouble with this? Let's talk about it. And then they look surprised, like, how did you know that?
I love it when technology is able to assist us that way, and then so just being able to monitor them within an online environment. So for instance, I've hosted all my content itself, like videos on YouTube, and then also put them within Google as well. But I really I don't have like a learning management system where it is that they can communicate outside of the classroom to be able to work with each other and learn from each other. And so I think that that's something that would add to their experience, and then also just add to my knowledge of what it is that they're understanding, what it is that they're still having questions about, and just leading to better use of that classroom time as well. What sort of learning management systems do you guys use?
We use Edmodo. My kids really like it. It's very easy to use, very user-friendly. The kids can interact with each other outside of class. Like, I'll see them talk to each other and ask each other questions if they have issues with something. They can also get a hold of me outside of class time. So if they need help with something, they can send me a question, I'll get an alert, and I can get on there and get their questions answered. So I really like Edmodo. I haven't tried any others, but for now that works really well for us.
I'm
I
familiar
agree.
with
I
it.
use Edmodo as well, so I can post all the videos on there without any problems, and students can have discussions, and I can set up assignments where they. The way I flip is when I post the videos, they either have to discuss something in a reply on Edmodo, or they have to ask a question. So sometimes I just require them to ask a question, and then we can discuss that in class. So going through randomly different questions they had that they want more information about. So Edmodo allows a lot of different opportunities, I think.
I actually do have Edmodo set up for our class, and we do use it in different ways. We just don't necessarily use it in the flipping component with our homework. And so that might be something that I want to try for a unit or two just to see as to how it is that it might work. I also wanted to incorporate some Google Forms itself within that as that part of that accountability.
How do you guys? Oh,
Go
sorry.
go ahead.
How do you guys group your students? What types of strategies do you use to group them to get them to have those good discussions when they're in class?
It's a good question.
In my classes, they almost entirely choose their own groups. It has to be between 2 and 5 people. Although last year and this year I've had one or two that eventually decide that they don't want to be in a group, so they work alone, which is problematic for me as a social studies teacher, but you know, it's really about what works best for them. So, but then what I do, if they get a little bit too comfortable, which can happen, then I'll require for each chapter that either one person has to be new, or they have to split up an entire group or something like that, so that there is a little bit of I don't know, being on edge a little bit. It's somebody new. We have to be on our, you know, on our A game, that kind of thing. So we do switch it up. Last year I did some picking of groups. That's
And then so you chose the groups themselves. Did you choose that by ability level, as to, or thinking about who it is that would work best with each other?
yeah, based on, you know, several going through the process several times, who I thought would be more effective together, because a group of people that it sort of doesn't work well together, but you know, likes being together, has been problematic upon occasion. So if
Oh,
I
in elementary school, I can definitely understand that.
so socially it's fine, but academically not so much.
Interesting.
I do it once in a while, again, to just mix it up. I do what's called a 10-minute tune-up. So they show up, and I have all their desks set up so that they're in their groups already. Everybody shows up, and I tell them you got 10 minutes. Make sure everybody knows learning objectives 1, 2, and 3, or whatever it is, and you got 10 minutes to tune everybody up to make sure that they know it. So it's a real intense discussion for 10 minutes, because I'm going to randomly choose somebody from your group to go to another group and explain the learning objective 10 minutes from now. So it's a real, like I said, intense discussion for 10 minutes, and usually the focus is on the one person who might be the weakest link in the group, and then I'll do, you know, alphabetical by, you know, first name, or you know, most recent birthday or something.
I think that's an awesome strategy. One of the things that we use just to, we have the students sitting in groups originally to begin with, and then so they work within groups, and so we keep them accountable in that way, and just have different group members share out their learning about the different things that they're doing. And then one of the other things that we have is like a clock partner thing, where it is that I can call it everybody has a clock partner sheet itself, and then they're able to call it a time like 10 o'clock, and then everybody would already have a partner already set up for 10 o'clock, just to vary those partners that they end up working with.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's always just so many different ways to group them, but I think that if they're able to go ahead and explain their thinking, and if they're able to explain that content itself, of course, and be able to teach someone, they're going to learn that material that much more. You know, it's something that it's hard to do because it's I think that it's a lot of class time, but it's necessary. Any other thoughts on flipping, or any other questions you guys had?
I got to share with you real quick my my assistant coach. I bring this. It's just a list of where's the. So I got this in my pocket usually every day, and it's just you know, it's got the learning objectives on, and when I feel like I've been asking too many of the same questions, I go to my assistant coach and I say, tell me more about, and then I pick a topic. Or how are blank and blank alike? Or
So wait, so what's the assistant coach that you're talking about?
well, it's like this piece of paper tells me questions to ask. So you know, I got my soccer gear on and in soccer mode today because I got to go coach my kids' game in an hour. But you know, so I'm going around asking the questions, and sometimes, again, I feel like I'm asking some of the same questions in every group and the same kids, and I want to go deeper and want to go, you know, to a different depth of knowledge. And so I've got my list of questions that I don't even know where I researched them from and picked them a while ago, but I've got these that I think are good. Excuse me. So upon occasion during the conversation, I'll bring them out and pick one. So
I
it's just
think
kind
one
of
of
a
the
little
things that you
pokey
just
technique.
brought up with the depth of knowledge kind of just it jarred my memory a little bit. And then there's this iPhone and iPad application called StickPick, and then so it allows you to go ahead and set up a class, and then in setting up the class, you're able to go ahead and group them by ability level as well to put in some of that information. But it also has it has questioning techniques within there. And then so it has like different stems themselves that you can go ahead and see. So that application, I believe, is called StickPick. The other thing that I was thinking of, and I'll type it in the chat window as well, is Jerry Blumengarden, Cyber Man, has a whole questioning techniques page. And then so that might be something where it is if you really did have wanted to do a little bit more. I'm just looking at that little the page right now. It's just there's some of those articles themselves. It's like using questions effectively in teaching, how to develop questioning strategies, the 4 question strategies, 5 powerful questions students can ask. It looks like there's a whole bunch of different resources that one could go ahead and use to find out more information. And
That's
then
a great
I'm sure
idea. I was just going to ask, does anybody work with their students? I know we're coming up on a time deadline here, but does anybody work with their students on having students ask better questions of each other? Or would that page be a good place to start?
When I do require my students to ask questions in a lot of the videos, and oftentimes when I take their exact questions and I'll post them up there, so sometimes we can discuss proper formatting and is this a good question? Is this something that's already been answered? So sometimes that can come up. I'm teaching juniors, so even occasionally with their maturity level you get some questions that don't make any sense or are completely off topic, but it allows us a way to analyze those types of questions and has me not be the one creating the questions too, which I think is nice. So they're actually stuff they're interested in and want to know more about or didn't get.
I think that one of the things that I would want to do is I would want to model that questioning technique with the students so that they can go ahead and ask better questions. And then so even sharing with them it's like a student version of a depth of knowledge chart as to those type of questions that that we're thinking about. And then so sometimes I always phrase it that some of the questions are brain questions and some of the questions are book questions, where it is that you can either go to a book or actually have to think about the question itself. And then so it's interesting that way.
That's a good way to label it.
Yeah, there's definitely different ways to label it, definitely different ways to think about that. Looks like some of the other sessions are still talking right now. Was there anything else that you were thinking with flipping in general?
Since you use YouTube, have you ever used EduCanon, where you can add questions in the videos? I've played around with it, but I've never used it with my students before. I don't know if one of you said you use YouTube, so.
Yes, I do use YouTube, but I have not used EduCanon to ask questions specifically within the video itself. And then so YouTube just started a feature with that. I just saw that there was a link with that where it is that they have the ability to go ahead and put questions right within the YouTube videos as well. One of the things with our district, unfortunately, is that YouTube's blocked. So if I did go that EduCanon route, then it would get blocked at the school level if you're ever trying to use some of that content within school. My workaround for that was to go ahead and host on Dropbox and Google Docs, or Google Drive, that is. And so it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
Is Vimeo blocked as well?
Vimeo is not blocked, but I'm not sure as to whether or not some of these services like EduCanon are actually usable that way. That's why when you're talking about Edmodo, it's interesting is that all my interactions with people along with Edmodo is that it's not necessarily used at a higher level, is what I've seen, where it's like I haven't seen it being used like high school wise. However, I could see that if you have a dedicated space like that to be able to discuss the material, that it would be a very good way to use it.
It's true.
I think I'm going to go ahead and end this session right now. Thank you, everyone. Again, it looks like Jason does have his Twitter handle there. I have mine. I'm going to do a shout out again, Justin, of your Twitter handle.
Sure, it's at JGlow170. I posted it in the chat.
All right.
I didn't
awesome.
get the third thing up yet. So.
Have a great rest of the day, everyone.
You too.
And
thank you.
For
Thanks for
one
moderating.
viewer out there for watching, but it will be hosted on YouTube, and I'm sure everybody else will share it out. Good talking with everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.